Test, test. Welcome, everyone. Public notice is given that Smithfield City Council will meet in a regular scheduled meeting at 96 South Main, Smithfield, Utah, on Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. The meeting will begin at 6 p.m. Welcome, and we'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and thought or prayer from Todd Orm. Would everyone please join us?
Please arise. I'm going to step down here because I always feel like I'm blocking the flag for everybody else when I do this. So I'm going to step down a little bit so everybody can see the flag. So, please follow me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd also like to start with a prayer this evening with the news above us. So, thank you. Our dear Father in heaven, we are very grateful this day for the blessings that we have to live in this fine city, in this fine state, and in this fine nation. We're grateful, Father, for the blessings that we enjoy. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to serve and to be good citizens and good neighbors. We pray this evening that will help to guide and direct us as we do our best to continue to provide for the very best circumstances for all of the citizens of Smithfield. And we pray that will help us to act in a way which would be in accordance with thy will. We are grateful again for the blessings which we enjoy, and we ask that thou will continue to bless the citizens and the city of Smithfield. And we ask and say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Approval of the City Council meeting minutes from December 10th, 2025. Make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the City Council meeting minutes from December 10th, 2025.
I second.
Trying to beat out Wade here or what?
Yes. Time to make up for it.
Awesome. Public comment section.
We need to take a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's take a vote. Jay?
I wasn't part of the council, so I'm going to abstain.
Yes.
John? Jen?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
And I'll abstain as well since I'm new.
Public comment on the terms, excuse me, public comment on the items not on the agenda or agenda items not requiring public hearing during the council meeting. Now is the time to speak. I'd also like everyone to know that each agenda item moving forward, we're going to allow public comment. So it doesn't have to, this agenda was already printed prior to us meeting today. So in the future, and as items come down the agenda, we are going to allow public input and comment there. So don't feel like this is your only opportunity to speak. So in the past, that's going to be something that we're shifting a little bit. So I'd like to open the opportunity if you have anything you'd like to share. Please speak into the microphone. You almost have to eat the microphone. So.
Good evening. Thank you, Council, for being here. My name is James Elwood, and I apologize that I need to leave early for a previous commitment, but I just wanted to sustain and support the proposal by Brian Fillmore in developing that parcel of land. I think the RA1 residential 1 acre lots supports that area. Allows for family and families to use their land, and hopefully supports opportunities for children and grandchildren to occupy that land. Thank you for your time and listening, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
And so just for clarification, if people are wanting to talk about that rezone, you can wait until right before that's gonna be discussed. You don't have to do that here at the very beginning. Since it's gonna be available for everybody to talk on any agenda item.
All right. Good evening, council. My name's Troy McLean. I'm a resident here in Smithfield, and I would like to petition the council today for a special use permit, for a conditional use permit rather, for a home-based FFL. I understand the city zoning laws regarding an FFL, and I understand the reason why, traffic and signage, et cetera. You know, we want to keep that restricted to Main Street. I get that. But as far as a e-commerce based FFL business, I'd like to petition the council to consider a conditional use permit. All right, do you have any questions for me regarding how the operation would be conducted, or do you have any zoning considerations that signage and traffic and noise and general residential appearance doesn't cover?
And so this would probably be something that would become an agenda item at some point in time, right?
If you want to come and contact me, I'll give you an application and a conditional use, and we'll fill it out, and then we'll put it on the agenda.
Perfect. Perfect.
So you're primarily asking for like an e-commerce, or will there be like a brick and mortar sales?
Well, it's brick and mortar. It'll be in my home, but it'll be an e-commerce only sales. Yeah, so there will be no foot traffic. There'll be no signage. You know. Bless the internet for all the opportunities that it gives simple business people like me, the opportunity to sell things across state lines when we couldn't before.
Yeah, I think there will be a process for that.
I'll give you my
Certainly
card,
get
and
with
you'll
Brian.
contact me about that.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
For those that may not understand, that's for federal firearms.
Federal firearms license.
License,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Is it like a class 3, or what's the, is it?
No, there'll be no class 3. It won't be manufacture. There will be no manufacture of ammunition. Just simple firearm sales. Just essentially transfers. The bulk of the business is going to be restricted to paperwork.
We've also approved code on that, so I can send you that as well. If
That'd be
you'll call me, we actually have an entire focus on residential class or the type of license.
Okay.
So just call me.
Okay, perfect. All right.
But
Thank you,
thank you for
Council.
the introduction on that.
All right. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for your guys' time. My name's Lizette Villegas. I was going to say work here in Smithfield, but I do. But I live here in Smithfield, and something that I was questioning was maybe bringing a little bit of the city with the police department, a little bit more communication. I would love to see, I looked it up on the website, so if I'm not looking in the right place, please tell me where, of kind of what calls are coming in. What are we doing in the valley? What's going on in the valley? As a mom, I would love to see what's going on. What's going on in the valley? And I'm super loud. Sorry. What's going on in the valley? So that would be my mom hat. Definitely want to see what kinds of calls are coming in here in Smithfield. And with my work hat, prevention-wise, it's really informative for us to know what's going on in our city, for us to focus more in prevention in those areas. So I would just love to get a little bit more information on that, to see that. And then to piggyback on that, I've had a lot of thoughts on the Cache County Sheriff deciding to not post people's bookings. I don't see that that's very safe because, again, we're not knowing what's going on in Cache County. So we really want to know who's doing it and what's going on. Same deal. As a mom and with the work hat, we would love that information as prevention. I know you can call in and ask if somebody is there, but we're not finding out what's going on in our valleys. So a little bit of transparency and communication, and I guess you guys are our voice to the county. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Liz.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Close the public comment section at 6:12. Don't have to close it. Okay, so now I'd like to invite the youth council members, J.C. Tueller and Carly Grunig. Sorry. Is that right? Jace, I'm sorry. My apologies.
I'm Jace Tueller.
I'm Carly Grunig.
Some of the activities we have coming up, January 31st, we're helping with the triathlon at Skyview, and that'll be really fun.
February 21st, we have the America 250 art, so we get to help set up for that and take down, and we get to like walk around and see the art pieces that they're doing.
And then way in the future, we're in April 4th, we'll be helping with like the scavenger hunt for like the Easter egg hunt. So yeah, those are what we have coming up, and we can't wait.
So just for clarification, the art gallery, is that the one that's at the youth center? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Great
Thanks so
work.
much. You guys are awesome.
Next, I'd like to turn the time over to Dion Hunsaker, do a presentation for the Lions.
Thank you. About a year ago, we signed up to do park benches through the TREC program, and on the screen is a photograph of a TREC bench. Out in front of the doors, by the doors, there's 2 recycling bins for plastic. For every 1,000 pounds, TREC would give us a bench, but they would only let us do one a year. So we, with the help of the Riverdale Lions, Riverdale contributed about 70% of the plastic that we collected. They have several locations in Weber County that they collected the plastic. The other 30 pounds, most of that was collected through the boxes that we have out front. I started with one there, but it filled up so fast that I had to put a second one there. So through this program, we have obtained our first bench, which we are now going to donate to the city. Like I said, it took 1,000 pounds to do this for each bench. The Riverdale Lions did about 4 or 5 benches with other clubs. So that shows you how much plastic the Lions in northern Utah have saved from going to landfills. I was planning on doing more benches. They would only let you do one a year, but TREC changed the program starting this year. You no longer get a bench for every 1,000 pounds of plastic. They will put you in a drawing for one every so often for the plastic that you donate. So there is no guarantee now. You may be able to donate 1,000, 2,000 pounds and not get a bench because it's a drawing. I think it's 400 nationwide, where in northern Utah last year we got, I think, 5 or 6 just in the Lions Club. So the chance of getting a bench again may not be very good. However, my family plans on continuing to do this as a service project to the community. So I appreciate the people from Smithfield who have made donations to that. I will say, when those 2 boxes are full, I maybe get 5 to 7 pounds. That shows you how much plastic it takes to get the 1,000 pounds. So again, almost 30% came from the residents of Smithfield. So I'd like to thank them. The second thing, several years ago at a convention I went to with the Lions, I obtained a Braille copy of the Constitution, which we donated to the Smithfield Library. This is a children's book that's in Braille that we are now donating to the library. Eyesight is one of the things that Lions was first involved in when they started. So you can feel along that book. This convention that I obtained, this one, we worked and put the Braille on the book and in the different pages to do that. We had to have somebody come from the National Federation from, I think, Washington, D.C. to help us and to check the book. So it was a very interesting service project that we did at one of the meetings that we went to. So anyway, I'd like to present that to the library for their use, and hopefully if any children in the community could use that, it'll be available for them. So thank you for your time.
Hey,
Thank you,
quick question.
John.
What is Trex? Is that a company? You said Trex earlier. What is that, a company or?
It's Trek.
It's the material.
Oh, the material. Okay,
They
gotcha.
do, besides benches and chairs, and they do a lot of patio furniture from the recycled plastic. I don't know exactly what they do. They melt it down and then form boards. Some
It's like the
decking
Trex
is made
decking,
out
right?
of
Same.
Trex
So they're the ones that kind of do this then?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
a
offer
company, nationwide company that's based in New York.
Okay, yeah.
Where is this bench going to be placed? Do we know?
I'd like to have you put it over in the Forster Acres. There's already several benches there, but there's some places I think could still use a bench. Along with this, I'd like to recommend that the tree committee continue to put more trees along the trail. During the summer, I walk there almost every day, and there are some areas that you really appreciate the shade from those trees that the tree committee has put there, and some areas where, oh, I wish there were more. So anyway, that's where I'd recommend that you place it.
Thank you, Dion.
Okay,
Thank you, Dion.
Thanks for all your effort. That's a lot of work.
thank you.
I'd like now to open public comment for discussion on the ordinance change, 2025-27. Oh, I'm sorry. Discussion and possible vote on ordinance 2025-27, an ordinance rezoning Cache County parcel number 08-105-0017 from an A3 agriculture 3 acre to RA1 residential agriculture 1 acre. The parcel is located at 468 Southwest and is 5 acres. The request was submitted by Brian Fillmore.
And I'm Brian Fillmore. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I typically do about this time of evening, but thank you for the opportunity to kind of explain what the rezone is all about and why. As you probably know, in October at the Planning Commission, there was a 7-0 reject vote of the proposal. I reconsidered that, and in December we met again with the Planning Commission, and there was a split 4-3 vote to approve. This RA1 zoning request would match the zones immediately to my north. Right to my south is A3, my neighbor to the south is A3 as I am now, but that's kind of the way it would look if there were an approval. I'd like to just make a few points addressing what has been presented to you in a petition opposing this proposal. And I'll be honest with you, I don't find any point in that document that I can entirely agree with. The first thing is incompatible land use. I'm not quite sure what would be incompatible about changing from A3 to R1 or RA1. It's still an agricultural designation, larger lots, an acre or more, still a lot of open space. What would happen is that my 4 acres that are a field right now, that we're talking about, that's what would be developed, is being farmed by my neighbor that lives across the railroad tracks to the west from me, Mike Hansen and his son Robert. And I have appreciated the arrangement that we have had and them taking care of those 4 acres, because I'm not a farmer and I don't have equipment or skills to keep that much land looking nice and being useful. So I'm appreciative of the fact that for the last 17 going on 18 years that they have done that for me and allowed me to keep my entire property very respectable, instead of the 4 acres turning into a weed patch. I might note that the petition opposing characterizes this rezone as one which would permit dense housing or medium or high density residential development. And I'll just say that's a mischaracterization of what I'm asking here. I'm only asking to put at the very most that would even fit and I don't know that 3 additional lots would fit once all of the city ordinances are taken into account for that little tiny development, but that would be the max. And that plus my home, my current home, would be 4 homes on those 5 acres. So I'm not quite sure. Well, that's definitely not medium, high, or high density housing. There's been concern about safety risks. I agree with everybody that has spoken in the commission meetings that 400 West is a very narrow road, and yet my proposal is the only safety risk is that there are a few more cars that would be regularly accessing 400 West than already do. That is the main impact that my proposal would have on traffic on that road. I might note that nobody who cites the safety risks of 400 West as a reason not to approve the rezone, nobody wants 400 West to be widened, and the reason I believe that is the case is because they just want the character of the city in our part of town to stay exactly the way it is, and widening that road would change the character. That's my belief as to why that objection is there. Also, that school children, if there were school children that lived in those 2 or 3 additional residences on that plot, needed to walk to Summit Elementary School, they would have to use 400 West to get there. And that is true, unless they climb the fence and walk through someone else's property to get over to 400 South. But there's only 1 block of 400 West that they would have to traverse, and they could do that on the east side, of the road, which is grassy, and then they could get onto 400 South, which is a less traveled road. So my belief is that neither safety concerns generally or safety concerns related to school children specifically really should have any major impact on a decision regarding my rezone. If I'm wrong about that, and that is a significant factor, then the safety of 400 West could be addressed unilaterally by the city. I understand that that's not going to happen, but on the west side there is enough room, probably from 2 feet to 15 feet of distance from the edge of the pavement to the Union Pacific Railway right away, that could potentially be used to widen the road. But I'm not asking that that be the case, but I just don't believe that the safety considerations, that my proposal is going to increase the safety risks at that location. My property is considered a buffer zone or part of a buffer zone between what is light industrial or commercial uses on the south end of Smithfield, and the residential areas just to the north, which are RA1, R112, R110, that are all very close to my property. As the petition notes, the city general plan points out that that area is kind of a transition, an agricultural transition zone. I maintain that an approval is not going to change the buffer zone, that being a buffer zone for the light industrial that's to the south. We're still talking about wide open properties, and if I were to pass away, my wife and I were to pass away tomorrow, and the likelihood is that my kids would probably settle our estate by selling that land entirely to the highest bidder. My land does fit into the proposed future land use plan as being in the light industrial section of town. And I know that the city is not pressuring anyone to sell their land so that what is on that proposed map becomes a reality. But if my kids were settling the estate, they would probably sell to the highest bidder. And if that happened to be someone who wanted to put that land to a light industrial use, and the city were to agree to that, then there would be no buffer zone, really, on our end of town. So my proposal actually, I believe, will preserve the buffer zone and the transition zone and leave that still a largely agricultural plot of land. There are comments about community impact and disappearing farmland. There is no doubt that is especially a concern. Well, it ought to be a concern to all of us. It is a concern. And it's especially a concern to those few farmers that are left. As I mentioned before, the Hansons have kindly cultivated my land, my 4 acres of field. And they run a dairy operation. But what it takes to run their dairy operation is a significantly larger amount of land that they lease or own and cultivate to produce cattle feed. And my 4 acres, I don't believe is going to ruin their operation. There's so much more that they cultivate that they need. Now, if those larger tracts of land that they lease were to be sold for development, that could have a catastrophic effect on that little dairy. But my little 4 acres is tucked out of the way. It's not even hardly noticeable to most people. I don't believe that my property being developed into 2 or 3 more homes is likely to be the catalyst for larger landowners that whose land the Hansons and others cultivate suddenly being sold off. If that were to happen, it would be for other reasons, not because my land was rezoned. Strained and unsafe infrastructure and environmental impact. The city engineer has assured me that the sewer line that goes down 400 West has the capacity to easily handle a development much larger than the one that I am proposing. So sewage should not be an issue. I can't speak to culinary water, but I believe that Smithfield has been very wise to look to establish new water sources to meet the growth of the city, especially in the east and the north. I don't believe that 3 more residences potentially on my land is likely to overload the culinary water system. And as far as irrigation water goes, I do own shares in the Smithfield Irrigation Company that are adequate to meet the irrigation needs of any future landowners on those 5 acres. As far as if my intent is to have a small development there. The timing of that, I don't know for sure, but that's my intent. And when it happens, a street, either with a cul-de-sac or some kind of turnaround, would be put in, and it will meet the city codes. It will not be unsafe. Runoff water, storm water will be minimal, but it will also be handled according to city codes. There's nothing unsafe about that. I resist the characterization of my request as irresponsible development, which is what the petition asserts. Property values, contrary to what the document says, I think would go up from having a nicely kept little development there, as opposed to the land values going down in adjacent properties. So, and as far as the comments about lack of transparency and public input, I believe I have been pretty transparent with my neighbors about what I intended to do. I don't think I have been non-transparent. And I think the city has abided by its rules as far as notifying the public about this rezone request. So if there are concerns in that regard, then perhaps it should be, what are the rules that the city has in place for notifying the public, and whether those rules may need to be changed or amplified in some way. Last point, small town feel. There are among those that oppose my proposal families that have deep roots in this part of town in agriculture, and I don't deny that, and I appreciate their appreciation of maintaining the city in southwest Smithfield the way it is. However, my point is, should that be at my expense when I'm asking so little in this modification of the use of my land? Also, I don't believe that adding 2 or 3 more families right there is going to take away from the small town feel of Smithfield, but rather it could encourage it further by just simple neighborliness amongst the people that live there. And if there is concern, even though I am not requesting anything more than an RA1, if there is concern that what might happen to my property would be similar to what happened with the Westridge Apartments, high-density housing there, that's not going to happen. And I know there are arguments that, yeah, but if you sell your land, then it's out of your hands. What happens to it? Well, I am going to live there until I die. I'm going to be on those 5 acres in one spot or another until I die. And I wouldn't want a townhome complex in my backyard either. So I would not sell my land to anyone who intended to do anything more with it than what I am intending to do with it. And so I hope to reassure everyone that this is not going to turn into medium or high density housing in their backyard. And that's all I have. Sorry to take so long.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Brian, did you want to share anything from the city?
Nothing that hasn't already been discussed. Nothing that hasn't been discussed.
Does anyone else have any comments on this? Public input?
I'm Luke Downs, live on 400 West there. Appreciate the opportunity to be up here. I do oppose this. I don't think it fits with the other homes along 400 West. Zoning requirements aside for a second, if we start at 200 South and work our way down 400 West, there's a 4-acre lot, there's a 2-acre lot, there's more 2-acre lots, there's 3 more 2-acre lots, then there's the RA1 that you can see here on the screen, then there's a 3-acre lot, Brian's 5-acre lot, and then 2 more that are 4.88 acres. Each one of those have 1 home on them. I believe that an RA2 is more acceptable, and it actually fits the neighborhood and allows for people to move in who want a little more land, who want animals, who kind of fit that neighborhood. So my family's been there a long time, and we'd just like to see it stay a nice agricultural neighborhood. As far as medium or high or low density, I think those are all relative. We can argue those all day long, but I don't think low density housing is having people in your backyard looking over the fence all the time, and I believe that's what adding 3 more homes would be. So appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks, Luke.
Any other comments?
My name is Amanda Addison. I sent you guys an email earlier today, and I apologize. I don't think I sent it to you, Jen. So I just want to share some of my email because I know that the residents here haven't heard what my thoughts are. I've lived in this area of Smithfield since the 80s. I was a child in that neighborhood. I'm now back as an adult, and I've always appreciated that farmland, the open space that we have, and the sense of community here. So rezoning this parcel for additional homes would negatively impact the character and safety of our neighborhood. I know we've briefly talked about traffic and safety concerns. I drive on 400 West. I live on 200 South, and I drive on 400 West every single day in the morning when I go to work. It's not suitable for additional housing. The road is extremely narrow and has not been improved for many years. In fact, I don't think it's ever been improved. Increased traffic from new homes would make this area even more dangerous. Currently, cars often exceed the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit, traveling 35 to 45 plus miles per hour, and impatient drivers sometimes pass on the narrow road. I've seen that happen probably 3 times. Families walking with strollers from those West Ridge apartments. I see tractors sharing the road. They're already at risk, and adding more homes will only worsen these hazards because that road is not big enough for a tractor and a car to pass very safely. I think infrastructure issues, instead of improving more development, the city should prioritize maintaining and improving existing roads and infrastructure first. Growth on the west side of Smithfield, especially near the Smithfield Temple, has already made roads like 400 West, 800 West, 600 South, and 1000 South congested and unsafe. These roads were never designed for this level of traffic. I know more people are using those roads because they're trying to get around the congestion in the morning to get to the stoplights. I think the city continues to approve farmland conversions without adequately considering the impact on our current residents. Please ask yourselves, if you lived in that area, would you want this level of development next to you? Probably not. I urge you to reject this rezone and focus on making the west side of Smithfield safer with wider roads and sidewalks before adding more homes. Our community deserves thoughtful planning that prioritizes safety and quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie.
Any other comments?
My name is Jake Erickson. I've been a resident in Smithfield for 18 years, I believe. I grew up here, riding my bikes on these streets. And I'll be honest, I'm somebody that doesn't sugarcoat things. The small town feel is gone. We've already lost that. However, I do think that we can get it back. I grew up on 3rd South, not far from here. We would pass people and everybody would wave. That's lost. People don't do that anymore. However, I'm very displeased with everything on the north side of Smithfield. The homes that have gone in there are terrible. Big builders will come in and they'll just make this atrocious, and nobody will like to see it. However, this is a different opportunity. This is an opportunity to do it right, have a small builder come in. I'm a builder myself. I am licensed in 5 states. I build all over the northwestern United States. Most of the time, we've had a meeting about this, I've been gone doing this, and I finally get the opportunity to voice it. But this is an opportunity to do it right and see how different it can be. Luke's comment about RA2, my question on that would be, is it less housing or no housing? Do you guys know? I'm asking you.
I don't know that we could speak to that.
Okay,
For
I'm genuine.
Typically for public comment, they don't return questions.
Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't know.
But if you can get a hold of me, I can let you know.
Okay.
RA2 is 2 homes or 1 home per 2 acres.
1 home per 2 acres. Okay, and honestly, I think that's a good middle ground. Most of the time, these houses will have 2 cars, so we're talking a maximum another 4 cars of traffic. That doesn't seem like a lot to me. If there is 3 homes, that's 6 cars. That just doesn't seem like that's that big of a deal to me. I travel that road often as well. I live on First North. It just doesn't seem that bad. The other thing is, like, as a builder and building in several different states, I live here. This is the hardest city to build in. We have the most regulations, the most hoops to jump through, the most, for lack of a better term, BS to get through. At some point, if we regulate ourselves to death, how are we supposed to grow the city if it needs to be grown? How do we make it easier on ourselves? It's not, we don't need to make our lives harder. But I'm also somebody that enjoys a building code and enjoys inspectors because we're held to a higher standard. My house was built in 1912. I hate my house. It's not 16 on center. It's not 32 on center. It's 24, 36, 18, 59. There's nothing. It's a mess. However, now we have an opportunity to do it right, to do it better, to learn from what we did on the north side. Some of you were maybe have been a part of that. Some of you are new. And so I urge you to consider maybe there is a middle ground here and it can be worked out better. And we can do a better job and keep that small town feel, or step back into the small town feel of it. I've been all over all over the northwestern United States. This is not a small town anymore. We have a lot of stores, we have a lot of people, but the small town feel and how we talk to each other, how we greet each other can still be there by all means. But this is not necessarily a small town anymore, and this is an opportunity to step in the right direction towards that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks.
Guess it's my turn. Most people in the audience know where I stand and how I feel. Oh, my name is Ruth Green. I live on 300 South. My roots are deep in that neighborhood. I don't really have anything new to say, but I would like to provide an opportunity for the people who came to this meeting tonight to let their views be known by giving them an opportunity in just a minute to raise their hand if they have come in support of keeping our neighborhood open space, setting a precedent by rejecting this rezone so that it doesn't get out of control. If this one is denied, then chances are the next one will be denied, and so on. That was stated at the first Planning Commission, I think by Jamie Anderson, that it would set a precedence for the future use of that area. So now these people have had a minute to think. If you feel comfortable raising your hand to support that we maintain our neighborhood and our small town feel, people are still waving. That's the first thing my husband noticed when he was new to Smithfield was everybody waves to you. He would keep saying, "Who is that?" And it was like, doesn't matter, you just wave. So, okay, if you are here in support of our neighborhood, staying small town, keep it as it is, preserve what we love about it, would you please raise your hand? I think that's a pretty good share of people letting you know how they feel. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you considering the needs of our West Side community. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you, Ruth.
Instead of climbing over everybody, I probably should have just jumped just straight. I live on 4 South, so I'm a neighbor to Brian, fairly close. The property between me is the Nelson property, and that used to be in part of this proposal. My property goes down to the corner of 4 South and 4th West. I raise a couple of beef cattle there every year, take care of them. Family and friends purchase the meat each year. A little concerned about losing the opportunity of keeping animals there. I can see the proposal is a little bit better, and what was brought up was the real concern that happened up at Westridge, because when that was originally approved, it was going to be retirement homes like further to the east off of 50 South, and then after it got approved, because of the low zoning number, I think 12,000, I think was the zoning, The contractor then switched it after it had been approved by the city, and then they put in townhomes because the property got sold. And so, you know, we don't want to have the rug pulled out from under us and all of a sudden something happened. The problem is the state of Utah allows that to happen with what they passed through the state. And at the point of the city approving it, then it was out of their control, and the builder or the person who then purchased the land from the person that was going to build it for retirement homes changed his mind, and he was allowed to according to the law. So Fourth West is a little bit of a concern because of the narrowness that everybody has talked about, and widening it is not possible unless you go deep into other people's property to be accessible by people driving there. And it's a weird thing to come along really wide and then all of a sudden go to a bottleneck on both sides of the property. The city is, zoning commission said that the city won't widen the road there themselves. It has to be done by individuals. But the way houses are located across there and sheds and properties, if you go all along Fourth West, you would have to move a lot of people's personal things that they've established there. And that would create some problems. So I think compromise can be reached. I would rather have a couple of homes there, myself personally, than be allowed to put a business there or businesses there in terms of the way it's supposed to be zoned there, if I'm understanding it correctly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Can I make another comment?
Yes, if you keep it short.
I appreciate Jeff speaking because he is the closest neighbor that has spoken today. In fact, he's the only one that has spoken who can see my property from his property. I would just note that, well, you can see from the zoning map how it's zoned currently. But most of the people that are opposed to this, that signed the 128 signatures, are not people that live on these large tracts of land. They're ones who live in their R112, R110, R120 neighborhoods. And I guess all I'm saying is that as a property owner, I'm being imposed on by people who already are living in even a more dense situation than the one that I am proposing to put on this land. So that's my only comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Kathy Marconi. I live on 3 South, and I moved here in 2007 to come take care of my dad. I've been coming to Smithfield and Cornish for, I'm gonna tell my age, 48 years. And we've had plenty of relatives come and visit from Minnesota, Illinois, Arizona, and we still do have the small town vibe. My family is just amazed at all the people that wave every time they go up and down our street. Maybe it's they're waving at Ruth, but they're catching us and the people that visit. But we have a great neighborhood, and all of my family loves to come visit Smithfield because it's quaint and it's small and it's country, and they get out of the big cities and they love to come here. When those townhomes got slapped up, my brother-in-law noticed it right when I took him back from the airport. He goes, wow, you guys got a lot of building going on around here. And I said, yeah, but if we can just keep it this way. When people move here, they're like, we don't want to be in the city. We don't want to be in Logan, so they're thinking Hiram, or they're thinking cute little Smithfield, because it is quaint, it is small, and we want to keep it that way. So I oppose it so that we can just keep it the way it is. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
My name is Vicki Reed, and I really didn't want to have to do this, but I'm the perfect example of what happens with development. I live on 300 West, and my roots are so damn deep, it's going to take a nuclear blast to get me out of here. I've lived here for over 65 years, and my grandparents lived across the street in a beautiful acre lot, and I sold that acre lot to a developer in good faith, who told me that he would keep the barn and that they were going to have that as a nice little place to raise chickens and do all kinds of stuff. And if you go past my house now and you look across the street, you can see there are 4 homes there and a cul-de-sac. And once you sell it, it's gone. And I have regretted that every day since I sold that property. I have no say on what happens there. The road coming out shines right into my bedroom, and you say, well, what's the difference between 6 cars? I can guarantee you it's a hell of a lot more than 6 cars that go in and out of areas like that. It's a mess. And like I said, I regret it every day of my life that I sold that piece of property, and it was only an acre lot. But let me tell you, it has made a huge difference in my life and a huge difference in everybody who has homes on that 3rd West. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vicki.
How you guys doing? I'm Michael Gibbs. I own the other piece of land that can look into his yard. You know, we first start out speaking about how we're losing the small town. The small town is being lost not because of development like this where we're dropping to 1 acre. It's just the fact that society itself has stopped speaking to each other and treating each other with respect. When we started this process, or this is the second time I've been here, you know, originally they were shooting for 112 or 120. A lot of people got up here and said, hey, you know what? I don't like it that small. They have the chance that once they sell this land that they'll do exactly like they did up the street from me, put in that high density housing and that kind of stuff. And they're like, well, you know, we feel okay if we move to 1AR. Well, from what I'm hearing now is that we're looking at moving the goalpost again for them. I hate to try to tell people what to do with their land, okay? I tried to develop years ago. They shot me down. The house next to me, that was supposed to be 1AR. I was told you can't build there because it's not big enough for a house. Developer came in, builds a house, okay? Or a barn slash house slash whatever it is. And I love my neighbors, so if this is coming out different for the Oaks, I enjoy them as my neighbors. They didn't start the process, it was started before. I don't have a true issue with it moving to 1AR, except for, like everybody else has said, the moment we make this decision, we have opened ourselves up for the dishonest people to come in here and say, oh yeah, but you know, I'm only putting a barn in. Oh, now it's a house. Oh, I'm putting a storage shed in. Oh, now it's a business. I don't know if there's any way you can stop that kind of stuff, but I'm not necessarily opposed now that we have come back and said, oh, okay, let's go 1AR, okay? I've lived on a full acre of land, a little more than an acre of land. It's plenty. I feel I have plenty of open space. My dogs run it. I got chickens. Well, every now and then I get somebody's horse in my yard. I used to have pigs in my yard when Nelson's had their pig farm. You know, change is going to happen. If there's any way to try to make sure that it doesn't get mass developed, then I don't have an opposition that 1AR is respectable. So that's all I wanted to say. So thanks.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Any other comments? We'll close the public input at 7:01 p.m.
Mayor, I need to recuse myself from this agenda item and the vote, discussion and vote on this agenda item.
Thank you.
Is it now open for our discussion, Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to give my thoughts on it, if I could. I appreciate the thoughts that have been given. I've spent a lot of time driving by that property just.
Do you have a microphone near Todd that you can use?
Yeah, we can turn around. I can try and speak louder. One of them over here's dead. I've spent a lot of time driving by that area, beautiful area. All different times of day, evening, looking at it. I have to commend Mr. Fillmore for the way that he keeps that property up. It's beautiful. What I'm trying to do is make the most sense in my mind and try and limit the amount of emotional attachment I get to my thoughts, simply because I get it. I'm a landowner too, and in fact I'm right in the middle of dealing with having to do something with land that I have. And I try and take the emotion out of that one too, and it's difficult. But I'm trying to take out of it a little bit. A couple of clarifications that I want to make. Brian, please correct me if I'm wrong. When the initial petition came through that, or the initial request that came through from Mr. Fillmore, it was to go to R112, and that was voted down unanimously. And I certainly agreed with that decision. This time, his reconsideration is to go to RA1. RA1 is still residential, agricultural. RA1 has the same street limitations, everything else as RA2 would have, as far as limitations on, you know, the side measurements, etc. From what I can see on this property, I cannot see that there would be a maximum of one additional home that would actually be on the street there on 400. Everything else would have to be behind those, which Mr. Fillmore talked about, having a appropriate access road that would go back in. Those homes would have to be behind it. This property is bordered right next to it by additional RA1 property. And so the fact that some of those areas there are also RA1 and very large areas and yet only have one home on them, that area would be equally developable into more homes, the same as this one would. My understanding is the area next to it there that is RA1 has been RA1 for at least 10 years. It has been RA1 for 10 years. There has not been additional housing that has been built into that. And I look at this and I think with Mr. Fillmore, I understand the expense of what it takes to farm something. I understand his age because I'm in that same age category, I'm sure. And I understand that he, to my opinion, he has been as willing to compromise as I could ever expect. I think his decision to originally approach it at R112 was not as much his decision as it maybe was some counsel that he was being given. I think at this point, he is looking at what feels right to him as the long-term landowner, to be able to take that to still 1 acre lots, which still have animal rights, still is set up as an RA with agricultural there, and it still remains an agricultural buffer zone. And what it does is it allows, in my mind, proper building on large 1 acre lots that would still allow the feel. The vast majority of us, I think, that are in here, the vast majority that I think have signed the petition, and I include myself when I say the vast majority of those here are on lots that are smaller than what is being requested that he be denied, or that he is requesting that he have the opportunity. They would still be larger lots than the vast majority of us, if I am correct in that thought. And he has extended his intention, both in where he is going to remain living, which once he is gone, no one knows what may happen there, but he would lose far more control over what he could do, what could be done with that property after he were to depart from that property than he is right now. Right now, in my humble opinion, 1 acre remaining with some agriculture, being a barrier and lining up with RA1 next to him, which has been that way for 10 years and has not shown a desire or a growth that seems to be the concern, and by doing so, also setting it so that it does not have the appeal to immediately become commercial or become something that is less controllable. I think, my opinion is that Mr. Fillmore has done a great job at trying to be as amenable as possible, and has tried to be as accepting as possible, with the desire to still keep Smithfield the way it is. I have to agree with the statement that was made before. Losing of the small town feel within Smithfield is not going to be the fault of 4 homes or 2 homes. 3 maximum additional, I think, is what we determined, more likely maybe 2. Small feel is each and every one of us. And if we think that 3 homes are going to degrade that further, I don't think we're doing enough on our own to be able to maintain that feel, because I think RA1 right there, properly developed, which it sounds every indication is Mr. Fillmore is absolutely committed to, I think is a beautiful compromise. And I certainly think that where the R112 really did not fit and was not an acceptable solution, I think this one truly is. It's my feelings.
Brian or Clay, can you walk us through access points? Because 4 houses would be the maximum. If 4 houses was the thing that ended up happening, what are the access points to 4 homes? Where would they be? Just for transparency reasons, how would this be laid out if there were 4 homes? Where are the access points?
So it's out of the inner block well, pretty close to out of the inner block development. So it most
just south of the inner block area.
yeah. So it would have to be a
Hey,
standard.
let's let Clay talk for a
Standard
second.
city, have to be a standard city road. Could put a cul-de-sac in there, but it would take up a lot of the room to put in a road, because our minimum is 60-foot right-of-way width, so
Right.
it would reduce that quite a bit.
And that roadway takes, the lots would still have to remain 1 acre plus, excluding, or in
Correct.
addition
That
to
is
the road.
correct, yeah.
The road cannot be a part of that 1 acre.
And it would come out on Fourth West. They don't have the ability to take that road anywhere else. So it'd be a 60-foot road that comes from Fourth West and would have to have some kind of a turnaround at the end.
So Fourth West would be widened just in front of this parcel.
Yes, because it's the only part that we can say that.
Right.
Because it's part of
Right.
the subdivision.
How far does the Union P land? Do we know?
30 feet from the center of the railroad tracks on either side, so 60 feet from fence to fence. And our code for a subdivision requires half plus 10, so it would be 43 feet from their fence to the new property line. Of course, there'd be sidewalk in there, planter strip, curb and gutter.
One of the things we haven't really addressed is that in the future land use map for Smithfield, this area is designated as commercial, not agricultural. And most of the comments from the citizens have been talking about this as agricultural land. And that's what it is now, certainly. But the future land use map shows it as commercial, not agricultural and not residential. And so we certainly don't have to, like the future land use map is not a binding document. It's kind of a recommendation. But as I read the general plan for the city, it talks about this area of the city and it says, the reason this area is being planned as light industrial commercial is to allow for a buffer and the future development of 400 West to make this a positive area for industrial uses. The future land use map reflects the amount of future planned commercial and industrial land needed on a build-out population of 32,000 persons in 2060. So that's from our general plan, which is saying essentially our population is going to double in the next 20 to 30 years. And this area of the city, according to that map, has been designated as use for light industrial or commercial. And so if we're gonna, like I'm just talking to my other council members here, if we're gonna designate this as residential RA1, that is a change to what the current land use map suggests. It's also a change if we're going to support and think of this as agricultural land going forward, because that's not what the land use map says either. Now, if the residents of Smithfield want this to be agricultural land, 5 acres, 3 acres, 1 acre land, and that's the way they want this corner of town to be, and I completely understand that point of view. This is my corner of town too, and I like it the way it is. I walk Fourth West myself, and that's one of my favorite spots to walk, especially at sunset. It's beautiful out there. If that's the way we as residents of Smithfield want this, then we need to help the city plan for this to be continued agricultural territory. This is kind of the last possible corner of Smithfield that we can hold on to as agricultural land. And if that's what we want, then we need to kind of make that clear to the city council, to the city planners, that that's what we want and not commercial. Because right now it's designated as future commercial, and that's, I think, for most people who are here, that's less desirable than 1 acre residential lots. So I feel a little stuck between what the city has, before all of us came, the city has designated as the future use of this, what we're being asked to consider tonight as future use, and what the current citizens are saying they want as future use. Like, we have 3 different kind of things happening right here, and none of that is really easy to designate because it can't really be all 3 of those all at once. So I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying that says we should or shouldn't vote one way or the other tonight. I'm just saying that should be something we consider that hasn't been addressed yet.
Right. I'm just going off of the floods of emails and phone calls and text messages, and I think things just kind of happen, whether or not it's in the general plan or it's planned for that. The development just kind of happens, and everybody that I talked to said that they chose that place in Smithfield to live because it is bigger lots. They do have that small town feel. It does feel like farms, so I feel like it's a case by case situation. And back to how we were going to lay out, how we would lay this out. Flag lots have been a nightmare. I don't care what town you're in. Flag lots are a nightmare. People do not like them. The people who have houses in front of them. I lived in a house with a house right behind us. It was a nightmare on both sides. And it's not everyone's favorite. It is doable, yes, it is. It's fine, it will work, but it's not everyone's favorite. And that is, I think, a good way to ruin a hometown feel. You will have neighbors right behind each other. Then we have disputes, and it causes all sorts of problems. So I think this is a case-by-case situation. Just something else to think about.
And maybe just, I appreciate all of your comments. Maybe just kind of follow up with what John was saying about the general plan. The great thing is we're working on the general plan right now. So wouldn't it be nice if we had maybe a committee that could be involved from citizens, not just us on the city council, but if we had representatives that would be willing to use their time to represent a quarter of, if we chose 4 people, 1 quadrant of Smithfield, and help us be able to determine what we really want this to look like. And so we would have a representative, from this part of town to kind of help us as we're working through the general plan.
We did have a committee and you were on it.
Yes, we did have a committee, and I was on the planning commission. I wasn't a regular citizen.
You and Jim were assigned to that committee.
Yes. And so what I'm talking about is something different, including actual citizens that would be a part of that committee to be able to give input with that. So anyways, that's just a thought. Not saying that has to happen, but it would give an opportunity for citizens to have more input. We did, on the general plan, we originally did have an opportunity for citizens to give their input. I can tell you that input was wonderful, and we looked at it, but there wasn't a single change made to the general plan because of anything that you input. So anyways, just something to think about. And obviously it's, it could be kind of up to the mayor how he wants to try to do some of this as well. If we're interested in doing committee, I'd love to see that. But anyways, and I'm not trying to change anything the way it is right now. I'm just trying to say we are working on the general plan right now. If this is an opportunity, why not take advantage of it? And then a couple other items. I had a lot of texts, several phone calls, and quite a few emails. And I'll just let you know, when I took my oath of office, one of the things that I mentioned, and some of you were there, some of you weren't, but I mentioned that a wise man once said, "It is not common for the voice of the people to desire anything contrary to what is right." And he also said that you should make it your business to do the voice of the people. And to me, I feel like I've kind of heard the voice of the people. Now, I'm not saying that what Brian Fillmore is trying to do is horrible, and I think he's trying to be very reasonable. Could it impact the future? Yes, it could. And so I think the voice of the people that I'm hearing is you're concerned about that. And I'm just going to tell you up front, that's why I ran, was to try to listen to the voice of the people. And you guys spoke, and so those are thoughts that I hold dear to my heart, is trying to represent you. So, those are some of the thoughts that I have.
Yeah, it's been pretty clear in terms of the phone calls, emails, and texts that I've gotten over the past 3 or 4 days, where the bulk of the opinion is. I think most of those have come from West Siders, and this is a challenging one for me personally, because I'm a 28-year resident here on the West Side, and many of you are my longtime friends, and I stand with you. And I have the same values, and I'm on the west side because of the same reasons you're on the west side. And so I stand with you that way. I also recognize that, and I honestly think that the local neighborhood should have a primary voice in how that neighborhood develops and grows or doesn't grow. I also think a landowner should be able to do what they want with their land, right? And this is a tricky one because here's a landowner who has rights to do what they want with their land, and he has neighbors who have rights. We might not say legal rights, codified rights, but they have rights to live in the kind of neighborhood they want to live in, and that's the reason we moved into that neighborhood. And one thing changes at a time, and sometimes it's a slow change, but it's a change, and that affects all of us. So this is a tough one. For me, this has not been an easy kind of thing to wrangle with personally, as I've thought about how to kind of vote on this one. I do want to say that I am so grateful that we live in a place where our citizens are voicing their opinions, and I hope that all of you who have spoken here tonight, and here tonight, I've been keeping track, there were 6 who spoke against it, 7 who spoke against it, and 4 who spoke in favor of it. So again, we see where it's leaning in terms of the voice of the people. We also have to consider those who did not speak, and not everybody who has an opinion has spoken, right? And it's, statistically, it's easier, and we hear more from people who are against change than people who are for change. So we have to take that into account as well. Boy, it's a tough one tonight. Now let me just make one final point. I think there is an argument to be made that approving this tonight might actually serve to protect open space, even though it doesn't feel that way all the time, because we're taking where one home is and we're going to put 2 or 3 homes there, and it feels like we're losing open space. But if we look 10 years down the road, if we don't change this tonight and a future council comes in and says we're going to bring in light industrial, or we're going to go R112, or whatever the case may be, we lose that open space for real then. If we make the change to RA1 here, and a home gets put on each of those acres with the cul-de-sac into that neighborhood, that's not going to get carved up any smaller 10 years from now. And so in some ways, I think an argument can be made that this helps preserve large lots and open space, even though it feels like it's getting smaller. So I think we need to kind of weigh both of those as we're going. And as I'm sitting here, I'm still weighing both of those, and I really don't know where I'm going to go yet, where I'm going to land on this. But I'm really grateful to have heard from my neighbors and my friends, and I appreciate the comments from the council tonight too.
And maybe just a couple of small items. I appreciate what you've said. You've put a lot of thought into that. Couple of things you mentioned that, if this does, get passed, maybe it could actually help things. But I think it's also important to look at if there were 4 homes, well, there's 1 existing and 3 added, that would depend on who those got sold to. Those people could then immediately try to rezone those if they wanted to. So, and I know that the city doesn't care who owns these once they're bought, but looking from a neighbor standpoint, I would dare bet that probably most of the neighbors would be a lot more lenient about a rezone if they felt like that was going to stay in the family, because they knew there would be less chance of losing control of that land. And there's probably some of you neighbors who probably want to do the same thing at some point in time for your kids. I'm just guessing. But if the purpose of this, and I'm not trying to say what Brian's trying to do, but if the purpose of this is to sell it, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, to someone that's not part of his family, that might make a difference on the neighbor's feel of things, if that makes sense. So, and then the other thing that I still have an issue with is it doesn't fix 400 West. That is still That's still a problem. And this doesn't even relate, but I do want to say, some of you guys have said that, we've lost the small town feel. We haven't lost the small town feel. And I'm just going to say the small town feel is where people choose to do that. And I'm just going to be really honest. On my side of the town, there's probably less people who are waving than the times that I've gone over here to this 400 West, 400 South area. When I've gone over there, everybody has been waving to me. And so there really is a difference, maybe even in different parts of the town, because of how people feel like they're living. And so obviously, this is valuable to the neighbors in that area. Thanks.
Am I able to ask a question of clarification from Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Okay. Just a point of clarification, we received the petition with the signatures. I just wanted to clarify, was the petition written before or after the zoning request was changed from 112 to RA1? And were the signatures, were any or a portion of the signatures gained before or after the decision to go from R112 to RA1?
It was all after R1. Immediately after the R112.
Everything was after that was denied?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I think we're all in agreement that 400 West is a significant issue, right? The safety and the room there is a significant issue, and that definitely needs to be weighed. My home that I live in was built almost 130 years ago. It was the second home built on the block, so there were 2 homes on a 10-acre block. And if somebody then had said, we're not ever going to change this, then there wouldn't be 15 or 16 or 17 homes on my block now, right? That's and I'm on 2nd West. That's kind of close to the center of town. And that's changed over the last 100 years, right? In the next 20 to 50 years, 4th West might feel like the center of town also, right? We're getting to a point where we're growing by leaps and bounds, and that's not going to change. We can't stop growth, and we can't stop the need of it. We just have to manage it well. And so I keep thinking, if we were to say, as a citizens, we want this corner of town to be large lots, open space as much as possible, large yards and gardens and animal rights, boy, that would, and if we could kind of lock in a precedent for that and hold that line for the southwest corner of town, that'd sure be something. And maybe 20, 30, 40 years from now, we could hold on to that. That would be really valuable. And maybe you wouldn't end up with a block like my block with houses on quarter-acre lots. And I expect in the next five years, there's going to be another half a dozen homes built on my block. And that's the reality of where I live. And I know that's how it's going to be. Things change and things are going to grow. We can't stop it, but I think we need to do it in a measured and careful way. This might be a really measured way to do it. It's hard. It's really hard to say, right? One thing I know for sure, that as human beings, we are really, really, really bad at predicting the future accurately. We're really awful at that. Like that, the research is very clear about that. So it's hard to say what the future is going to be. But I think we also know that growth is going to happen, and significant growth. Like this is going to be a town of 30,000 people here by 2050. We got to find room for twice as many people somehow. But maybe we can hold on to the southwest corner of town with some open space. I'd like to hope for that.
And maybe just in conjunction with what you're saying, talking about the general plan, a lot of times we're talking about different zoning and that kind of stuff. Very little is often talked about preserving open space. And unfortunately, open space a lot of times is farmland, and that sometimes gets sold in big chunks. And so a lot of times that sometimes ends up being where the growth ends up happening, is because someone passes away and it goes the kids have to sell it, and they sell it out of the family, and then all of a sudden you've just changed the whole atmosphere of that area. I would just say, you know, if we're interested in trying to pursue what we really want to have, that we actually try to make that reflect what we have on the general plan, and that we actually have a discussion about an area in Smithfield. Probably would be okay if we had at least one area. Right now, that southwest side is probably about the only one of the last places that is possible, that we designate that on the general plan. Just some thoughts.
Any other comments? Are we ready to put this to a vote?
I would make a motion that we deny ordinance 2025-2027 on agenda item 4.
I'll second.
So we take a vote?
Yeah.
How do you vote, John?
So the vote is to deny.
So it would be a yes for
So yes to deny it, and no
to approve it.
to, well, we can't approve it with a no. All you're saying is yes to deny.
Yeah.
No.
Chris?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Todd?
No.
Mayor?
Welcome.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
So just for clarification, it was denied by a vote of 3-2.
correct. We'd like to move now to Justin for selection of the mayor pro tempore for calendar year 2026.
So council, each year, we select mayor pro tempore, which in essence is when the mayor is unavailable for a city council meeting or to attend other meetings, they would fill in that. If you look at state code, if you wanted to go from that, 10-3B-302 says, if the mayor is absent or unable or refuses to act, the council may elect a member of the council as mayor pro tem to preside at a council meeting and perform during the mayor's absence, disability, or refusal to act the duties and functions of the mayor. In our case, we've had really good mayors, really good councils. We haven't had to deal with a lot of that. The main thing would be that they would preside over meetings or attend meetings on behalf if the mayor's not available. The council does vote on this. Each one of you has a little sticky to vote on if you need a pen. If you would select a name of a fellow council member, we will need to get 3 yeses or 3, one of you with this. It's got to be the same name for 3 of you, so it may require more than 1 vote. If needed, we'll do that. But at this time, if each one of you would select someone and this would be for calendar year 2026.
Question of clarification. Do you want to also have us put our name on this?
No.
Okay.
Todd has been selected for calendar year 2026.
Thank you. Now we'd like to move on to the discussion on the general plan update.
So Mayor, and those in attendance, so since 2024, we've been working on a general plan update. Just as a short summary, we started off with a steering committee that had about a dozen different members of the community in there. Eventually, it transitioned off to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission worked on it for a few months, and now it's come forth to the council. At this time, council, we're not asking you to vote on anything tonight. We're looking for a plan of how the council would like to see this moving forward in 2026. As a staff, we would hope this wouldn't take a year to work its way through, because we're working with some older data. We're hoping that we could, the nice part about the general plan is any part of it can be updated at any time. So we're asking for your guidance of how do you want to tackle this. So eventually it is going to need a public hearing. Eventually it is going to need a vote of the council. But as far as the document itself, we have been made aware of some typos and stuff in there that we still need to correct. We appreciate a planning commission member that gave those to us. We still need to make those. But as far as the document itself, moving forward, what do you guys want to see? Like I say, eventually you've got to have a public hearing, or we will have a public hearing, and the council will vote. What's your vision, or how do you want to proceed with this? Obviously, based on the discussion of rezones, there's maps and stuff under consideration. The whole document's under consideration. But how do you want us to lay that out as we, as a staff, start to put that together to bring that forward to you over the next few months?
How close is it? I mean, is it, other than the typos, how close is it to the draft being completed?
It's ready. In reality, you could hold a public hearing and vote next month, but the council hasn't really looked at it. It's just come from the planning commission. So it could be voted on as early as next month.
Seems to me we ought to have at least a month to look at it and have any further discussion next month, as we've looked at it in February with a possible vote in March. I don't know if we feel like we need more time than that, but I don't want to sit on it either. If it's close to ready, then
so you could have a couple of options based on how you guys feel. I mean, obviously there's still some changes. We could review it. We could review it again as a council in February. You could hold the public hearing in March. If you wanted to wait to see what comments you got out of that, you could then vote on it in April, or you could vote on it in March. It's what your comfort level is. Like I say, the one nice thing about it, every bit of it's subject to change.
The draft is available to the public right now, is it not correct?
So it's been on the website since November.
Right.
The current one, there are a couple of typos. We have not updated that so that when we talk about the document, everybody's looking at the same thing. Yes, it's out there. It's available right now. Has been for a few months. What you're considering is that document.
Right. So it's readily available for everybody to look at right now.
100%.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of have mixed feelings on this, having been on the planning commission, now moving over to the city council. There's been some opportunities for us to kind of review this general plan, and I get it. Probably the original plan wasn't necessarily to try to revamp everything on this general plan, but just kind of maybe do some updates and move it forward. But originally it was only planned to have 2 meetings with JUB engineers, and then we ended up needing 3. And in my opinion, I just felt like that really wasn't even enough to really cover what we really needed to kind of dig into the general plan. But that could just be me. I'm a detail guy, and I know there's someone out in the audience that's a member of the planning commission, Jim. I think he felt kind of the same way, that you wanted to kind of dig into it and make sure that if we are going to look at this, let's actually look at it and have it really reflect what we really want it to be. And you're good with your input? Okay, sounds good. So anyways, part of me wants to move this forward. I don't really want to have it be staying in JUBs and paying them money to do updates, that kind of stuff. But I am really interested in maybe looking at, as we move forward, maybe we allow this general plan and say, hey, we're at a stopping point. But I really think that we should really look at having kind of an ongoing review of that, And that's where I think in some respects we could have kind of a committee that's looking at different parts of that over time, and we could maybe pick little pieces of the general plan and it could be updated incrementally instead of the way we're doing it now where we're trying to do the whole beast. And it was a lot to go through to really kind of, and so, like I said, I feel like I really didn't get a chance to, you know what I mean, dig down as deep as I wanted, but not everybody's that way. So those are just some of my thoughts.
Just a question for clarification, Justin. If we, at the point when we vote to say, yes, we accept this plan, we're not saying this won't change for another year. We're simply saying this, we approve this today. We expect that changes will come in time. And then next year we'll do another vote. Is that how that works?
No, so it'll go into place till you want to update it, but here's the fact, whether we like it or not, it's out of date the day after it's adopted. And there are big factors in there that make that out of date. I'll use one example. There's an ecclesiastical facility on 8th West. The second that was announced, that general plan in that part of the city became, for better of a lack of a word, worthless. Because everything that had been planned thought, throw it out. Anything could be proposed in a different section of town and voted on, and the council elects to make a rezone that is different than that, that whole thing changes instantly. Recommendation is, should we look at maps and should we be changing that all the time? In small sections, yes. It's a lot easier to look at a small section than look at a 100-page document. Like, let's be honest, it is. We got a grant. The reason this got pushed, it was time to do it. We found some grant funding to pay for about 3/4 of it. We've gone through that. So is it subject to change at all times? Yes. It's a guide. It's not set in stone. It's like tonight with the rezone. That's when the council decided. Anybody can propose anything. Like the general plan is simply a guide or a document. And so could you change it? You could change it the following month. You could amend it every single month if that's what you wanted to do. But you're typically doing that through rezones, through that type of thing. So it's a living, breathing document, but it's also not a set in stone document. We didn't pay to do a complete revamp. A complete revamp we would have spent a significant amount more money than we did. We did some updates. That's why you still see some of the pictures from the past. You know, we tried to pick the things like the water conservation part of it had to be updated. Like that was state code. So we did that. Is that subject to change? Yeah, it is. So it's a guide, it's a document. We would love to see it come through in the next, few months. We're not asking for it to be approved next month, but we would love to see it approved and then start focusing on parts of it. As Chris said, maybe the first thing we're looking at is we're looking at the southwest corner, or we're looking at the zoning map because we don't like where we want to change it. You can change it now, commercial down in that area of town. We want to make some adjustments there. You have the ability to do that for sure. So it's just how you guys kind of a timeline so we can work on it. We would love to see you go through it. Love to have a discussion next month. I would really like to have the public hearing in March and go through that again to see what the residents' input are. If you ask me my timeline would be we would discuss it as a staff. You would discuss it in February. You would have a public hearing in March, and you wouldn't vote on it till April. That way, if you could take the comments you got in March and see what you want to do or not do with those, or make some changes.
I'd like to propose that we.
Is this a motion?
No. This is a proposal, not a motion. Okay. My suggestion.
There you go.
My personal preference. My leanings would be that we as a council make a concerted effort between now and our meeting in February to look at that and document what kind of questions we have. And then can we arrange to have JUB there again?
I would have them come, yes.
They need to be able to clarify areas that we just don't understand, only for clarification purposes, not, make sure we're not taking their feed, but they're there for answers to where we could get ourselves close enough that then, yes, March, we have public hearing.
Todd, would it be helpful to have like a running document that they can look at so they can be prepared to what we're gonna ask them? You know, we can type in.
Yeah, I mean, here what I, like, you could send me your comments of stuff you want them to specifically address. I would put it in one document and they would already know up front. Here's some specific areas we want to talk about, or have questions on. Would be in fairness to them, it would give them
Yeah.
time to prepare. Obviously,
that'd
there's
be-
going to be questions on the fly during that meeting, which is fine. But yeah, anything that you see that comes up, we would love to have those, put it together in one, give it to them in advance of the meeting, and then have them come.
That's a great example, because that's, I think, one of the problems we had the other two times that he came is maybe he didn't really, you know, he was just fielding questions right then. But also, I did spend a significant amount of time going through each version, and I did check the very latest version of the things that I was asking to be changed, and then I've basically done, you know, kind of a comment on which things actually changed, or if they didn't change, or how they changed. They maybe changed a little bit differently. If you guys are interested, I could send you or have Justin send that out to you, just so that can kind of help you see some of the things that I was kind of saying maybe still need to be revisited. Now, a lot of those already got taken care of, but there's still a few that didn't.
I was gonna suggest originally a Google Doc that was live, but that could stay live until last minute. That's probably your idea, I believe is better.
Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll proceed with that then.
I'd like to also challenge the constituency to go review this. If there's things you don't like or give your feedback, I'd love to hear from you. So.
Yeah.
Reach out to any of us.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we're here for, is to listen to you. So this gives you an opportunity to be engaged.
And if we could have those comments at least a week before the February 11th meeting, just to give them an opportunity to gather some info.
Should we just call it February 1?
That would be great.
Move to the city manager report.
Okay, just a couple of things, council. So back in the current budget, the council approved an update to the personnel manual. We need to get in legal compliance on things like FMLA and maternity leave and medical marijuana and some of those things. So we did some searching, found out that the law firm Manning, Curtis, Bradshaw, and Bednar, specifically Matt Church at that firm, is a human resources guru. We asked them to go through it and tell us how to be legal. They've come back. You're going to get a document there's going to be two versions. There's going to be the red line version, like the 150-page version, and then there's the clean version. Some people want to see red line, some want to just see proposal. What it doesn't include is it includes the legal updates where we need, but what it does not include is it doesn't include changes to things like holidays, which are what we control, PTO schedule, which is what we control. So when you see that one, you know why you're seeing it. You have to adopt it because you have to adopt those changes. But we will be bringing that forward. If you have comments, if you see typos, because it is a complete revamp. It's a complete change. So working with the department heads have had some comments and stuff on it that we're going to try and incorporate. But any significant changes, like we would bring to you and go, okay, council, we wanted to change the PTO. And I'm not saying right now that's even on the list, but the things that are under our control, that type of stuff, we would be like, council, here's some proposed changes. But we have all the legal stuff is not based on our opinion. It's based on the law, and we need to comply because some of those things, like medical marijuana, are not in our manual. So when you see that, when you get it, you'll understand why that will circle back to the council. Eventually, the council will vote on that. But we just wanted you to know where we were in the process. We got it last month. We just waited till this month, till the new council and mayor were in place so that we could start working that through over the next little bit. So just an FYI there. That's all I have on that part. The office will be closed on Monday in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We have started working with the department heads on gathering information for the new budget, which goes into effect on July 1st. But the first presentation to the council will be in March. I believe it's March 25th. All the department heads will be here. We'll have a budget-specific meeting. Then we'll talk about it again in April and May, have a public hearing in May, and then a vote of the council. Council, you're going to start seeing from me employee spotlights from each department. We have a lot of new faces on the council, new mayor. We want you to know who your employees are. So you're going to start to see a couple little fun things come across. We've asked them a couple little personal questions that are kind of fun. So when you see that come across, we just want you to know about the employees of the city. As far as projects we have going on, the new 3 million gallon tank project is moving forward. They'll be starting this spring with completion. They're stating by September of this year. Clay talked to JUB today to get an update on the spring line project up the canyon. Phase 1, which is the part that's in the county. We finally got comments back from the county. We're hoping to take that to bid, phase 1 of 2, take that to bid in February or March. The big stormwater project on 10th South from basically the highway to 12th West and then the new retention pond. We're looking at bidding phase 1, which will be to the railroad tracks, also in February, March timeline, so we can get those done in this fiscal year. So those 3 big projects are moving forward. Just kind of a fun fact, when you talk about sewer flow for fiscal year 25, 248.5 million gallons of sewage flowed from Smithfield into the Logan system that treats it for us. 248.5 million. So that's an average of 20.71 million gallons per month from Smithfield City. So just a fun little fact that has no bearing on anything.
We expect you to bring fun facts every council meeting, Justin.
So I didn't have a kerfluffle or something like Wade or whatever that was. So like we had to have some worthless tidbit for tonight to add in here at the end.
I was a little worried John was going to say he wanted you to bring a sample.
So hey, we do sampling all the time. So see, there you go. So, but
Please
unless you
don't
have
bring
any other
that to
questions,
city council meeting.
Comments tonight, I don't have anything else tonight.
Just a point of clarification, is there any timelines on that personnel manual update?
No, it's just slowly will work its way through.
And did you say, will we be able to look at both versions, like the old version and the new version, or will it be redlined, or how will we, you know what I mean?
So
be able to know
there's the 2
difference?
versions. There's the red line, and then there's the clean one, which
Okay.
all it is, the clean one is just
the new
all
stuff.
the red lines out. So that way you can review whichever one you feel is better or easier to read, because it's long and tedious.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we'll send both, but they're identical. Assume the documents other than one just shows a bunch of X's out, and then the other one shows the changes.
Thanks.
We'll move on to the council member reports. Start with Todd.
Okay, swing this over here. Real quick report, we'll go tree committee first. We just met last night. We've got a few additional changes, alterations, clarifications, etc. that we will be gathering and reproposing. We'll be looking at that next month, and then it will probably come to the council again for an approval to be able to make those changes in the code. Nothing too dramatic, but a little bit of clarification. But the group is alive and well. They're preparing for this next year's contest for the Arbor Day, getting everything ready, looking at budget to be able to maximize trees that we can be able to help get into the city, continue to stay with our Tree City USA classification. So very healthy group, and we'll be getting those changes. Nothing recently new from the Historical Society other than we are continuing to make progress bit by bit over at the Douglas Mercantile across the street from here. And certainly it's going to be something that we can be proud of. And there will, any input, any additional questions, any things that you might have that you think might be of particular import, and possibly an article for that museum that might be special, talk to me about it. let me know your feelings about it, because we'd love to see that. But that group is alive and well as well, and we're grateful for them. So we've got a great history here, and we look forward to being able to truly showcase it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with the seniors. They're doing awesome. They are just tickled pink about getting their new flooring and their new ceiling. They just are so excited. I got to go yesterday. They're very thrilled with their monthly update. I did just ask that a little bit bigger font. I already talked to her about it. She'll get that taken care of. But they do enjoy that. They're doing awesome. And they told me to tell you thank you. And they're excited to have you come in a couple weeks.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. I can't hardly wait to speak. On a side note, up there as well as part of that project, so LED lights, new ceiling tiles, and we're actually replacing the chairs. The tables will stay, the chairs are being replaced.
They did ask me about that and how the chairs and the table are going to work on this new floor. They're worried about them scratching. So
Yeah,
that's
so
something
the
that we need to address.
the new lifetime chairs will help make that not a problem.
Perfect.
The chairs will be picked up, so this project will happen Monday, starts Monday, February 2nd. It'll be that week. We're picking up the chairs that week so that they can just be moved in once. But yeah, pretty significant changes up there, from ceilings to floors to chairs to, and it'll be 100 chairs, 100 new chairs.
Perfect. Okay, they are so excited about that. The Health Days Ambassador Pageant is scheduled for March 7th at 7 p.m. at the Skyview Auditorium. They're still taking applications. Our numbers are low this year, so we're trying to figure out how to get the word out there. I know the signs have been there. I recommended maybe we move the signs because people become complacent after seeing signs in places for so long. We'll try and announce it more at the high school. Anyway, there's no cap on the amount of applicants that we take, so if you know any high school, Skyview High School, well, it doesn't have to be Skyview, just Smithfield resident girls, we are looking to increase our numbers there. We are going to incorporate the America 250 celebration into that, just with our decorations and just a couple fun ideas. Walmart donated $150 towards decorations for the pageant stage, so that's something that will be very beneficial. They are one of the sponsors for this, so that was very awesome that they did that. And the Arts Council, that we're just with the new year, we just put in a new co-chair that will take over next year when Mike is filled his time. And we'll be doing more planning for our summer events here in the next couple weeks or months.
Thank you. Move to John.
Chamber of Commerce met earlier this month. Good meeting, good businesses. It snowed that day, so the auto wrecker and the physical therapy people were looking forward to increased business because of snow on the roads and back strains. But they reported on their Christmas gifts, the Night of Giving, and they told me the number of presents and homes and people they bought for, and I failed to write it down, but I bet it was in the neighborhood of 248 million gallons, Justin. So, but good stuff. It was really, really super successful, and they had a local LDS ward of young adults do all the wrapping and delivering, and they did it all in one night, and it was like magic Christmas kind of stuff. So it was a hugely successful event. In terms of the Trails Committee, we heard from the county that there are some trails grants available, so if any members of the public are interested in participating on the Trails Committee and have ideas about what kind of trails we want to further develop, there may be money available to help develop some trails, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me or anyone on the Trails Committee. But our focus for the next year or so is to work on that Bonneville Shoreline Trail extension down here into Smithfield. Thanks.
And I haven't been given any official assignments yet, but I just kind of ran with it because I knew there was a meeting for the Smithfield City Youth Council. And it just so happens that I knew that because my wife kind of helps out with that group. So just quickly, would love to kind of, and we had two of them here today to kind of tell us a little bit about what they're doing. But we've got about 30 of those kids, and they're doing a phenomenal job. When I went to that meeting, it was very evident that they really get along together, and that's something that's been mentioned that, over the past years you've had different groups, but this year they've really gotten along really well and are doing a great job. they had an opportunity to help out with the Night of Giving. So the Smithfield City Youth Council kind of helped out with that, some of that. And so that December ends up being kind of a busy time for them. I do think it'd be awesome if we could take the summer off as a city council like the Smithfield City Youth Council does. Maybe we need to make a motion. I don't know. What do you think, Justin? Just kidding. But anyways, they're doing a great job, doing good things, and they usually do service projects and are usually helping out with a lot of the other different committees that are going on. And as they mentioned, they'll also be kind of helping with the America 250 Smithfield events that are happening as well. So just appreciate what they're doing there. And just one other item, not necessarily anything I'm assigned to, but I think it's important for you guys to know that there's actually 3 of us on the council, Jen, the mayor, and myself, who are all part of the America 250 committee. And that's really, Lisa is the chair of that committee, and she's doing a great job. She's just, she's gung-ho, and she's not afraid to delegate a little bit and try to make some things happen. But the whole idea behind the America 250 is celebrating the 250th year of the Declaration of Independence. And so as a city, I think it's really great that we've kind of embraced this. And so each month there's going to be activities. If you haven't had a chance, there's some printouts that I left in the back that kind of give a schedule of what's happening up until July of this year. And a lot of fun ideas that people have come up with, and I think it's great way to be able to remember our heritage. So thank you.
So I've been officially now here 1 week, so I'm super excited, engaged. I want to let everybody know, I'm not sure if you're aware of the fire district, the things that are going on in the county. I have applied to be on the board. They will vote on, the county council will vote on that at the next meeting. So I'll be a representative for Smithfield and the north end of the valley for the fire district. Jay, do you have any comments about that right now? I know that it's all still kind of up in the air, but.
Not really, just that he's a board of trustees, and they're gonna be making some decisions on their bylaws and stuff that could affect what we do here. We'll be bringing more forth information when that happens.
Thank you. I'm in the process of working through forming some new committees, changing around a couple of the things that the county, or the city council members are involved in. Still making some assignments there. We'll work through those, so we'll announce those as they come. But excited to be here. Thank you for your support.
Can I say one more thing?
You bet.
I just want to commend our new mayor because he's making some changes that we haven't had the opportunity in the past. And one of them happened tonight. You guys are here, had an opportunity to see that now our meetings are going to be a little bit more open, that we're actually going to allow citizen input on any agenda item that you guys want to give your input on. And so hopefully we can help gain the trust of Smithfield residents and let you know that we actually really care about you guys and what you think, and we really would love to have you be engaged. And so opening this up is a great opportunity for you guys to be able to let us know how we can help you.
And we do appreciate your input. I know that was probably fielded about 30 emails and texts over the last 24 hours, which I know we all have, but I do really value that, and we do value that. So I just want you to know that it doesn't fall on deaf ears, so we do appreciate that input. So. Any other comments? Anybody have anything else to say?
Like to make a motion, we adjourn.